Okay, we're on Raiders.com, and there is some news. Eric Harris has been signed by the Raiders, and he was interviewed. He seems rather in the dark during the interview, and a lot of Raider fans seem to be in the dark about the defense and how the Raiders are going to run a defense this year. I would say the biggest complaint is linebacker, inside linebacker. Who's playing inside linebacker? Who's starting? We need this inside linebacker. The GM, the head coach, the so-called defensive coordinator were all inside linebackers. And the Raiders can't develop an inside linebacker. Do you ever see Reggie McKenzie when he was playing? How big his thighs were? Do you think he could play nowadays? I doubt it. You know why? Because the game has changed. Teams aren't rushing the ball, 40, 60 times a game. It's a passing league now. It's overwhelmingly passing. And a lot has to do with rule changes. You can't do anything to a receiver anymore. You even look at him funny and you get a flag. So if you were observing the Raiders in preseason, especially the third game versus Dallas, when you finally got to see Obi Menafanu, or whatever his name is, play. He was drafted to play the position which is known as Moneymaker. And Moneymaker is a Moneybacker, rather. Moneybacker is a position they all make money, so Moneybacker is a position that's sort of a hybrid position between linebacker and safety, where you play in the box, you cover tight ends, you cover running backs coming out of the backfield, and you support the run, and that's what Obi was doing. He had an ankle injury. Now he has a knee injury, and he's probably out for the season, which is wonderful. Of course, the depth chart came out the other day, and that, of course, has changed. I mean, there's at least 2 or 3 people on that list that are not even on the team. I would say 3, because they put several people on injured reserve, including Obi. And that's why they brought this guy, Eric Harrison. Now, people will say, what is he going to play? I'm saying this 27-year-old is going to play the position Obi was playing. Although he's had an ACL before, so I don't know if his original combine stats, if I remember right, he ran the 40, 4.57. That's pretty fast. And he's 6'3", somewhere around, I've seen different weights for him, 230 to 225 to 235 pounds. He's not that small. But some will say, why not Luani? Luani played very well in preseason. He did. I mean, as far as defense goes, he was one of the highlights, along with that guy Lewis, who, the Raiders decided, he doesn't get to make the team. No one else was doing anything. I mean, we'll just put him on the practice squad. He'll sign to that. He's off to Texas. Swimming. Now, Luani, I've seen his height. range from 5'10" or 5'11" up to 6'2". Something tells me there's something wrong there, and chances are, usually people don't cheat down on height, so he is probably 5'11", and he's around 200 pounds. And to me, that's too small to be in the box. So unless they put someone else in there, because they have other linebackers, they have linebackers like James. I can't even remember some of the young ones that just been added that they could use in that role. It might be that. I mean, I'm not in practice. I'm not seeing their practices, and I don't know what Jack Del Rio is thinking. But this guy was obviously brought in for that reason. And it speaks volumes, even though they signed a linebacker as well, about the type of defense the Raiders are going to run. They're not going to be lined up in that traditional 4-3 defense. It's going to be some sort of a hybrid. They're going to put more defensive backs on the field, because it's a passing league, and they had trouble with tight ends, and they have trouble with running backs catching balls out of the backfield, and that has to be addressed. I mean, even though they're going up against a team that's definitely going to run on them, Mariota can still pass. That's why you don't see this huge move towards linebacker, middle linebacker. I mean, they signed a guy, I can't even remember his name, who they'd cut 4 days earlier, or a couple days earlier, and they got this guy from the Saints. He played 4 games last year in practice, almost a year ago to the date. He tore his ACL in Columbus Day, I believe. That's not a good sign. But he does have some experience playing in the CFL, which is more pass happy. It is what it is. I mean, the Raiders are kind of stacked on the offensive side of the ball. They have a lot of money invested in the offensive line, more than I think any other team. And there's going to be compromises. No team in the league really is, just overwhelmingly equal across the board and, just strong on both sides of the ball. I mean, people try to say the Patriots, but come on. They have extra players on the field at all times. They wear a different uniform, but they're on the field for them. They turn blind eyes to Holden, and they do all sorts of other things to help them along. So let's not totally value them too much, even though you have to be prepared when you play them. Think about this. The Raiders more than likely are not going to have Obi for the Patriots. Yeah, that's the reality. That is the reality right now. Unless the Raiders change their recent ways in trade to try to get someone, they're going to have some troubles. A lot of troubles, unless someone like Eric Harris or whoever they're going to put in that Moneybacker position is going to excel. Who's going to be able to cover tight ends and cover running backs and support the run. I mean, if they can't do that, it's just going to be shootouts. Kind of like last year. The Saints game comes to mind. Which this guy, yeah, he was playing in that game. He played in that game. Because that was the opening game. it's going to be like that. Like the one versus the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, they couldn't stop anything in that game. And they drafted all these high draft picks. And they've been drafting all these high draft picks the last couple of years. And they haven't showed up. Where's this guy Conley? Why are these guys always injured? I don't understand this. They're young. I mean, it's really pathetic. Woodson Luster. That was the guy they brought back. Maybe they need to bring back Charles Woodson. They need someone. Because they're going to have a hard time unless, out of the blue, this guy who couldn't even make the Saints roster, who had a deplorable defense, just like the Raiders, they just signed him. And last time I checked, the Raiders training camp players that got cut the other day, only a few of them drew any interest. But that's how the Raiders defense is going to look. It is not going to be some standard 2 tackles, 2 defensive ends, no, 2 middle linebackers, 1 middle linebacker. I mean, it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be just this standard type of defense. They're going to use this technique. Arizona used it. I forget the safety that was used. It was Aeneas Williams. Is that the name? I can't remember the name. But he was used in that role, whoever it was, and they had a pretty good defense. I mean, they got to be pretty creative because they have so much money on the other side of the ball, and they're getting bargains on the defensive side of the ball with Mac not being paid that much. And they're not getting a lot of value anymore. And that includes David Amerson. When he first came to the Raiders, but the Raiders was so bad then when they got him off of the waiver wire, I believe. You know, it seemed incredible. Oh, wow. Because the Raiders were so bad. But they're going to have to get their shit together immediately. Well, it's going to be a very long season, and Derek Carr might not be able to save it if they have absolutely no defense at all. Remember, on special teams, they lost like 5 or 6 players, and 2 of them went to Tennessee. Yeah. Menafanu, or whatever his name is, was going to be quite a contributor on special teams. No. He's out. They're gonna have to have all these players that they brought in who are totally inexperienced just all of a sudden click. Or the field position is going to be quite different. And let's not forget, Janikowski is injured. And he's always been, I don't care what anyone says, an unreliable kicker. Just out of the blue, he will just miss the easiest field goal. So let's not get, I'm surprised he hasn't been cut or whatever. But then again, who do they got to replace? Because if you have good memory, you'll remember before the Raiders selected Janikowski, who did miss a lot of field goals in the beginning. The year before, they had like kickers by committee. They had tons of kickers coming in and out, and they lost a lot of close games. I think that was the year they went 4-12, and Jeff George had a pretty good season. They had, I think, Napoleon Kaufman at running back, and he would hit these home runs all the time, and they lost a lot of close games because the kickers sucked. They used to just miss like 30-yard field goals. And they've had Janikowski forever, of course, but even him sometimes. I mean, just you have to wonder sometimes on kickoffs. What is he even thinking? What are they even trying to do? Even before the rule changes. I'm saying over the years, where he would just not be able to kick it out of the end zone. Other times he could. But that's part of defense too. If they have poor kick coverage, it's gonna make for a long day. Especially if, like, Tennessee, if we're just talking about that game, the two guys they got from the Raiders, Trawick and I forget the other one, Bates, if they excel for them, maybe Cordell Patterson doesn't get too far. It all goes together, and the Raiders definitely not prepared right now, I don't think. We shall see. But the defense will be like a hybrid type defense. Do not expect some sort of great emphasis on linebacker, middle linebacker. Expect an emphasis on safeties, or the moneybacker position.